I asked the question about me, and then you started
I don't
talking
care
about
about you. The debate's not about
I
you.
asked the question.
You keep making this debate about you. It's not about you. The prompt is diddly empowered by sex work. It's our women, and I'm worried about women as a whole, not you. If you want to throw your life
If
away,
the debate
go
question
ahead.
was, does
But
nursing empower men? Do you think I'd be
I
talking
care
about men
about
who don't do
18-year-old
nursing
girls.
or men who are in nursing?
What? You are in a special business where I looked at the statistics and it's only about 3 to 5 years of longevity, because what happens is when a new girl comes on the scene and she becomes popular, she gets a big following, consumers get tired of one girl after a certain amount of time and they're on to someone else. They tend to move on to a younger person, a newer person. And because we're dealing with a little something called hoflation, because there's 4.5 million creators on OnlyFans now. I mean, there's so many, it's so saturated as a market that we're seeing people like Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips have to do more and more crazy and more extreme stunts in order to get their market share, right? That's why only a handful of the women really make a lot of money on this. So what
Mm-hmm.
do you think that that's empowering to be in a business where there's such a short lifespan, such a short shelf life on your popularity, and you're forced to have to do crazier and more extreme things to try to keep your subscribers or grow your subscribers? Do you think that's empowering?
Well, for me personally, I've never felt pressured to do anything that's out of my comfort zone. I've always done content that I feel comfortable with. That's why I say this is great in terms of like sexual agency and my autonomy. I control my content. So, again, like, do you concede on the fact that OnlyFans is empowering for women like me?
No, because I have never done sex work. I've never done pornography, and I'm sexually autonomous. There's nobody controlling my sexuality. I've never had a
Same.
problem with sexual autonomy, and I didn't have to get into sex work in order to have sexual autonomy. So I don't
Neither
see
did
how
I.
that's a point in your favor. Couldn't I
Well,
have sexual autonomy without doing OnlyFans?
just earlier you were saying that you can see how it would be empowering for me, and now you're kind of backtracking from that a little bit.
You keep trying to hammer that because you think you really got
Well,
something,
because
but
that's the entire point of the debate is whether or not, I mean, the debate is does OnlyFans empower women? I'm saying it does. And
you're saying
you've
you're saying it
kind of
empowers
agreed with
you.
that?
No,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
saying
a
it empowers
woman.
you, and that's an unfalsifiable claim. So if you're telling me about your emotional
Okay.
state, I can't falsify that claim. But what I can do is look at women as a whole in the industry, and I can look at the statistics. I can look at all the facts and figures about what happens to women in general when they enter commercial sex work. And those are the points that I'm making. I can't falsify whether or not how you feel, your mental state and what you claim your mental state to be. You could be lying, you could be telling the truth. I would have no way to verify it whatsoever.
Well, I
So
can tell you I'm not lying. So can we just, for the sake of the
I'll
argument, assume
believe
I'm
you.
not lying?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure, I believe you.
So would you
I have
agree
no
then
reason
that
to doubt.
OnlyFans is empowering for me?
Well, how long have you been in the industry?
Uh, OnlyFans in particular, maybe 4 years.
Okay, 4 years. So do you think that's a long enough time for you to say, yes, this has empowered me? Or do you think that 10 years from now, you might look back and have a different view on it?
I don't think I will have a different view on it.
Okay.
I'm a very sexually liberal person. I don't see that changing anytime or in the future.
So you think that your income you have right now is reliable?
Hmm.
Okay,
Again, I am a
statistically,
YouTuber. I have a pretty big channel, so a lot of the money is coming through other avenues, not just OnlyFans.
okay. Well, that's probably smart, but on the whole, again, this is not reliable income for the vast majority of women who do this, and they're very pulled
Hmm.
in by girls like you who make it seem very glamorous, make it seem like fast, easy money.
I don't think I do. I tell people it's not fast, easy money. Not everyone can do what I can do. Even in the beginning, I said this isn't going to be empowering for everyone. It personally just is for me.
Well, that sounds like you're making a concession in my direction then. If you're saying it's not empowering for everyone, just for me, and the debate topic is it empowering for women, not is it empowering for diddly? So I want to hear if you have any
Well,
arguments
no,
that
there are many other women who do it who would also find it empowering.
would you say that the majority of women who start an OnlyFans are going to leave the industry saying that it empowered them? Would you say that?
Um, It's hard to say because obviously there's like very limited research on this, so I can't say for sure. But I think people definitely do um, overvalue how much is at stake when someone leaves OnlyFans. Obviously, if you start an OnlyFans account and you have 15 followers on Instagram, you realize it's not a lucrative option and you shut it down. Your content is not going to be out there online forever, like you claim. These are people who no one knows and they can just quietly leave the internet. It's more creators like me who our content obviously is always going to be out there. I acknowledge that. I know that's the reality and I am okay with that. That's the
So
risk
when
I
we
take.
Okay, so you're okay with it, but
Hmm.
in the opening, I did mention that there, like in the EU, for example, there's a whole task force that's been deployed in the EU to handle the human trafficking element of this, the sex trafficking element of this, because they found that this is basically a new avenue for traffickers and pimps to kind of get women into this kind of cam work. There's been some very high profile cases of people who
Like Andrew
seduce
Tate?
young women. I don't want to name any names, but I'm
Why is
saying
that?
there's been some, well, because I don't want to put James's channel in jeopardy or anything, and YouTube TOS
By
and things
talking
like
about
that.
Andrew Tate?
Well, it
I
just
think
gets
we
a little
talk about
sticky if you're
crazier
going to talk
topics
about,
here.
I just generally don't talk about people's personal cases, but
Okay.
there are lots of high profile cases where it's these people are getting kind of sucked in under false pretenses. They use the OnlyFans to kind of do IRL trafficking. And this is something that is a big enough problem that the EU has a task force looking at it and how people get kind of groomed into this type of work. And we do see higher instances of human trafficking in places where prostitution and pornography are legal and normalized. So do you think
Do
that
you agree
that's
that OnlyFans is the
empowering for
safest
women?
form of sex work?
I don't think there's any safe form of sex work. I
Can you
think it's,
elaborate on that?
yeah. So we've already talked about the fact that a lot of people experience content leaks. A lot experience content leaks. People can do screen grabs. There's even entire subscribers will create groups where they share content. They'll take screen grabs, downloads, and share it amongst themselves so that they can kind of basically split the cost. You never can be assured that your content is truly behind a paywall. And
Sure.
you
Okay,
can
but even if you think it's not safe per se, would you agree that it is still the safest form of sex work that exists?
I don't know that it's the safest form of sex work, and I don't know
Mm,
that that
what
question
would
would be
be
relevant to whether
safer?
this is empowering. I don't think sex work empowers women at all. I think it's extremely harmful and
What
exploitative
would
to
be a
women
safer form of sex work than doing OnlyFans?
not doing sex work.
Well, that's not the
That would be the
question.
safest thing. What would it matter if it's safer if it's still not safe?
I
That's
think it
not going to
matters
empower
because
women.
it gives women who are in precarious situations doing sex work on the streets or out with strange men, it actually gives them an option to do a much, much safer form of sex work from home in the safety of their own house,
So
online. They
can
don't
you
have to come into
guarantee,
contact with men physically.
if there are 18-year-old girls watching this right now, can you guarantee that they will be safe doing OnlyFans?
I can never guarantee anyone's safety in any situation
Right. So I don't think this question is really relevant as to whether this is empowering. If you're saying,
because
well,
I
it's
can't guarantee
safer,
someone's safety. I can't
it's a
guarantee your safety right
risky,
now in that room.
yeah, but me being a stay-at-home mom is not a risky occupation whatsoever.
Being
It's
a
not
controversial
risk.
YouTuber is.
That's not sex work. So you could
I
choose
wasn't saying
any
it is
type
sex
of,
work. I was saying there are unsafe elements to it.
I don't know that there's even unsafe elements to it other
I mean,
than
you
the
hear
fact
about
that I'm,
doxing, swatting,
yeah,
harassment. Do you
sure.
not think those are all things that come with your job?
Those things could come with a lot of different jobs, but
I agree.
nobody's going to have nudes of me that they could blackmail me with, or my nudes aren't going to be leaked and then I can never get a normal job again or something like that. It's
I
much
mean, you
much
can
different
definitely not get a
situation.
normal job again doing controversial content online. Do you
There is
think Andrew
no
Tate would have a good time getting a job at Macca's?
there is no risk of me being sex trafficked by doing what I do for a living.
What is my risk of being sex trafficked?
Higher than mine.
Can you explain
Higher
the
than mine.
process? Can you explain the process of how that would happen?
Well, what I've read in a lot of these reports that I've been doing research on is that a lot of girls get into this work, they become reliant on the income is not stable, it starts to dwindle,
Okay,
and then
so
they're
I
forced.
asked how that would happen for me. I'm not
So
reliant on OnlyFans
if this
income,
happened,
so
yeah, but you know as well as I do that you could get kicked off YouTube tomorrow, right?
I
YouTube
have
is
other streams of revenue as well, other than
sure.
YouTube.
Okay, let's say we're not talking about you. We're talking about
No, I
women.
asked the question about me, and then you started
I don't
talking
care
about
about
other.
you. The debate's not about
I
you.
asked the question.
You keep making this debate about you. It's not about you. The prompt is diddly empowered by sex work. It's our women, and I'm worried about women as a whole, not you. If you want to throw your life away,
If the debate
go
question
ahead.
was, does
But
nursing empower men? Do you think I'd be
I
talking
care
about men
about
who don't do
18-year-old
nursing
girls.
or men who are in nursing?
What?
If
Say
the
that
debate
again?
question was, does nursing empower men? Do you think I'd be talking about men who are in nursing or men who aren't?
I think we'd be talking about men who are in nursing, not you.
Okay, so we're talking
You're
about
making it
women in
about
OnlyFans,
you.
which I am.
You are one of
Yes.
millions.
And there
You
are
are one
many
of
other
4.5
women who
million,
feel the same way.
and you are an outlier. You are an
So
outlier
you now
in
are
your
conceding
industry.
that OnlyFans can be empowering for women?
No, I'm not conceding anything.
Oh, so then why did you call
That's
me an
not a
outlier?
concession
What am I
because
an
that's not
outlier
the
for?
prompt. I know you're not a debater. I know you're used to showing everyone your butthole, but in a debate, when the
I don't
prompt
show my
is
butthole. I don't do full nudity on
the
OnlyFans.
prompt, okay, whatever you're showing, what the prompt is OnlyFans empowering for women, not for you. So I know you might struggle with language or something. Maybe it's not processing, but we're not talking about you. We're talking about women. And what you
Yes,
do is
which I am.
damaging to women. What you do is damaging to the rest of us.
To you? How am I damaging you?
Well, you're damaging to those of us who would like to be respected, those who would not like as blow up dolls. And we do see a lot of
Do you think that people view you
overflow.
as a blow up doll because of me and women who do OnlyFans?
I think that we do see young men now treat women like prostitutes because they grow up watching this stuff because it's everywhere now.
Are you treated like a
So
prostitute?
let me talk. If we see
Sure.
young men thinking that all women want to be choked, slapped, you know, the stuff that goes on in the industry that you're in, they think that's normal. It's been normalized. And because
I don't think it should be normalized. I think we should have better sex education in schools to let people know that this is not normal.
You know, I've seen some descriptors of what your content is, and it's certainly not innocent. You know.
Before we go to,
Can you elaborate?
No,
I do
I can't because we're on
without
YouTube.
going into
Okay.
too much detail. I just want to return to okay, so maybe what economists would call like externalities. I think Rachel is saying that even for women who don't do OnlyFans, like there might be a negative cost incurred by them because let's say, and I'm not trying to back Rachel, I'm just trying to bring this point up, Diddley, to get your opinion on it. The idea that maybe what if men, as a result of seeing women in OnlyFans as like sex objects, does it accidentally lead to men thinking of women as like sex objects or in some way have a kind of this associative effect that influences them to think negatively about women broadly?
Why should my existence be the determining factor in the way that men abuse women? Shouldn't the onus be on the men doing abusive behavior, not me?
Don't you think that normalizing sex work is good? Don't you think that's a good thing?
I think normalizing it is good. If it leads to women being safer, yes, sure.
Yeah,
Which I believe it does.
I'm glad you think this is very cute and very funny. So you think that it's a good thing in society. As I just said in my intro, we're seeing massive explosions in STD rates, hookup culture. The average young boy now is seeing porn for the first time at 10 years old. It's everywhere. It's very uncontrolled. Like I said, even on OnlyFans, there are minors uploading material because they're using fake IDs.
Yeah, which obviously shouldn't be happening.
There's also been several OnlyFans girls who have been the victims of stalkers, sex traffickers,
which
things
shouldn't
like
be
this.
happening.
Right? Yeah, you're right. None of that should be happening. Do you think that
why should the blame be on women who do OnlyFans rather than the rapists?
Because you're normalizing this behavior.
Normalizing rape?
No, you're normalizing the idea that women are there to be your little cum dumpsters or whatever you want to say. Sorry to use the crude language, James. But let's talk about what this really is. It's not wrapped up in a cute little bow. This is disgusting stuff. This is really degenerate, disgusting stuff. It affects people in real time. There are people who develop addictions, not just men, but also women. This destroys people's lives. And you are sitting there and saying, well, I'm only 4 years in and it's working out great for me. So I think it's empowering for women. And you're like, why should I give a shit what
I have
happens
said
to other
from the
women?
beginning that this isn't going to be empowering for every woman.
Then
In
I
the same
win
way
the
that, like,
debate.
doing YouTube, maybe. Do you do YouTube?
I don't do sex work, and this is about
That
doing
wasn't the
OnlyFans.
question. Do you do YouTube?
You just said that this won't be empowering for all women, so
Wait,
I
can you
win the
please
debate.
answer the
You just
question? Do you
conceded the
do
debate.
YouTube? I don't know what kind of content do you have a YouTube channel?
Yes.
Okay, do you find it empowering?
No.
You don't find it empowering. Why is that?
Because it doesn't. I'm sharing information. It doesn't give me any sort of power. I'm not monetized.
You don't make money from it?
No.
Okay. So why are you doing it if
I'm
not
an
for
author and
financial empowerment?
No, I don't do it for that. I do it because I am correcting the record on women's history. It's been hijacked by women's studies departments and told people believe wholesale lies about it. So I'm presenting the evidence and correcting the historic record. I'm trying to get women away from what you were doing. I'm trying to steer them away from a life
Wouldn't
of
you say that's something
degeneracy.
that gives you some sense of empowerment then?
No, it doesn't empower me. It gives me a sense of purpose, which is completely different. I'm not doing this because, well, my husband's the one who's the breadwinner and makes the money. This is something I'm doing because I have daughters and I'm going to hopefully have grandchildren and I care about the world that they're inheriting. And I don't want it to be a world where women think, well, I'm 18 and I really don't want to work a job. So I'm going to just, start an OnlyFans, I guess, and see how that goes and hope for the best because for the vast majority of women, it turns out really badly. And you're like, so it's not my problem. Why should I care? So who's the
I
one
would
who
agree
cares
that
about
you shouldn't
women?
be jumping into something like this as soon as you turn 18. You should probably have like a little backup. I'd say the same thing to people who are wanting to start a podcast at 18. You should probably focus on other things because this most likely isn't going to work out. OnlyFans is supposed to be a platform for
you
creators
concede.
like me who are already established YouTubers, streamers, content creators. It's not for people who just randomly decide one day, hey, let me start taking pictures of my feet and see if that works out.
Yeah, so you've just again conceded that this isn't empowering for the vast majority of women who are going to try to do it.